Hello Galactic family. Children, may from that moment shine forth in the most crystalline peace. Before entering into these words, seek a quiet environment, where you can read for a brief moment, as if you were in a little meditation of the day, a time that you have to renew yourself from all that is distressing you. From that moment, only that silence exists between us. Everything else paralyzes for a few minutes. It is a time of stillness and reflection. Be in that peace, in the purest peace that shines out your soul in all perfection. Now that we are attuned, that we are at this level of vibration of inner peace, where I see you shining, radiating crystal light, a moment of inner stillness, we can begin our fraternal dialogue today, for I have come to speak again about experience in matter. We continue a set of lessons on how material life should be viewed from the perspective of the eternity of the spirit. That will be our purpose today. Transmit peace to the minds so agitated, that they may find this peace in their days of doubt, anxiety, fear and affliction. May they be prepared to deconstruct everything that they think they are, from everything that is linked through their personality. These feelings, united to the lower self, are so human, so characteristic of human experience, the distressing emotions that are often transfigured in anger, hatred, revenge. All these feelings that take them out of this state of peace and fulfillment that we live in the ascended kingdoms, a state of the purest inner peace. But these feelings, which must be lived without attachments, without bond to yourselves. They are emotions that serve precisely to deconstruct them, so that they return in this process of purification to the purest essence I am crystalline. But I wonder if they have ever wondered about the origin of such human feelings. Why do they still accompany them? Where do these human feelings come from, so characteristic, that unfold in the form of a character, who identifies with this story, who struggles for what he is, and to remain in that state? All this, my brethren, must have a deep root in our soul. But what is this common path that so many doubts and longings cause us in material life? Material life, children, is a path that our essence chooses, precisely so that we can detach ourselves from all that we have been and thus may find ourselves within this deconstruction of our own personality. As we entered into material and planetary experience, we were already in our being an identification of what we were. We had created a character, which we would not be able to dissociate except by an experience that would lead us in depth to meet in all our yearnings, in our doubts, to initiate in us the deconstruction of the self that we thought we were, and which we brought with us. The soul, children, adds knowledge throughout the eternity of its existence and, thus, creates for itself a personage of its history. This character needs to be deconstructed, precisely so that, from the union of dimensions, there is a perfect coupling of the I Am presence, which is nothing more than our true essence, existing also in other dimensions. It is only with the deconstruction of this self, which arises from the history of our soul, that we will abandon everything that the character has created and thus become our own truth. This character is reflected in the planetary experience, and causes us so much pain, both attachment and suffering, because it is linked to our cosmic record of soul. This is the goal of material experience, the deconstruction of our cosmic self, so that the crystalline purity of our being shines forth. Human experience, children, is meant for this, to the deconstruction of your cosmic self through the process of soul purification. The cosmic self, which is the historical personality acquired in the experiences experienced by the soul, is completely disconcerted by the harshness of the process of three-dimensional life. All values, concepts, all of this is transmuted throughout life. And all this, beloved, is done through cycles, which are repeated in our lives, often in countless lives. These cycles lead us to realize that that aspect we were holding as an energetic bond of our personality needed to be deconstructed. We had to break this cycle that kept us from our true essence. This cycle is lived, agglutinated, and broken through the inner illumination. We are transformed in this aspect, in the emptiness of love, which becomes the innermost light that we could produce. These cycles, beloved ones, which are nothing more than the very manifestation of attachment to this cosmic I. The identification with our own personality, acquired through the times and experiences, and the cycles in our lives, show us precisely the points, the bonds that we struggle to not release from our own personality. The insistence on these cycles will lead us to pain and suffering, to fear, to yearning, so that, already tired, we can enlighten ourselves, emptying our personality so that the light shines. The cycle of planetary lives, beloved ones, is a cycle of purification, where we deconstruct our cosmic historical self reflecting on the human personality. This cosmic self dwindles away from planetary material experiences, and our being empties itself by allowing a much deeper connection with creation, already detached from any identification with our own personality. It is for this reason, my nobles, that planetary life confronts us with so profound challenges of the soul, because the work of deconstruction of the cosmic self is an exercise of repetition of cycles, which works the depths of our records, agglutinating them in wisdom and enlightening them, to the path of the deepest inner purification we have ever had. The being arrives at the planetary life bound to its cosmic self, and throughout the cycles that are repeated, begins its deconstruction, from the repetition of lives, the insertion in familiar surroundings, and the very immersion of consciousness in the material planetary environment. Thus purification is made in the sense of the deconstruction of the cosmic I on the level of the soul, and of all that restrained us. This is the process of purification on earth, a work of deconstruction of ourselves. To become, therefore, a master ascendant, children, is to totally dissociate ourselves, abandoning everything that we think we are, everything that we long for us. It is simply the liberation, so that the only truth is this peace, this joy, a profound unmotivated and unconditional love. To become a master is to accept your own deconstruction of personality, abandoning your own consciousness to unity and unification to the energies of diverse dimensions that we are ourselves. The state of peace of an ascended kingdom says nothing about the dimension we attend. He says yes about an inner state of complete abandonment of oneself. For do not think that when you reach the kingdoms, ascents will find only peace. No, my noble brothers, there is much work where we are. We accompany all of you, helping you find this state of peace and fulfillment, and we see from our perspective all your afflictions, your displeasures, your inner conflicts, but we become wise to maintain that peace. Because we have already deconstructed what we thought we were, and allowed them to live their experiences on the path to their own inner deconstruction. The peace we have attained has been obtained precisely from a state of inner purification, which we have passed through the ages, in this world and in others, where we experience harsh experiences, and why not say painful. This is the only purpose of this experience, its own deconstruction, to attain that inner peace, which leads us to the deepest state of ourselves, the deepest radiance of our inner truth devoid of the ego, of the mental wants, of all that we identify as being a personality, abandoning himself completely, and being only peace that overflows in the lightness of natural joy, of well-being. For to be a master ascendant, children, is not to have more light or to be better, more perfect. It is simply knowing your own peace, to shine in light and wisdom, and above all, an inexplicable love. But in order to pass into this state, it is necessary for them to experience the process of inner purification, of cleansing, so that in the purity of the heart they may find the full state of the crystalline truth of the soul. How beautiful is this awakening, awakening to itself, becoming incontestable in its inner truth, opening itself to the universal benevolence of love, being peace and joy but devoid of the very historical personality we have created for ourselves. Being one in all and accepting the dilution of our own consciousness to the whole, where we practically cease to exist, but by still feeling the I am and being this our only truth. I am, this is the only truth of a master ascension and nothing more. A being who has gone through all the deconstruction of this process of deep purification. Each of you, children, entering into the material experience, experienced a great trauma, experienced hard proofs of the soul, because they brought with you those aspects that should be enlightened, transmuted into wisdom, radiating from the I Am presence, and purifying your soul, experiencing new and even more subtle experiences. This is the process, to purify and transmute all that restricts you, so that they may shine forth in truth and light, so that they may become the truth and flare up to all the hearts that stand before you. It is an undeniable truth, the one radiating from their hearts. But in bringing this proof of the soul, they set out to live this process of purification through which they are led by their guides, mentors, and yourselves, through the irradiation of the higher self, which leads them just to experience this process of purification, of deconstruction of personality. Now I can say, for you who have come up to this moment, even these words, I can tell you that you are interested in reaching that peace, in understanding how to reach it. For one of the presuppositions of peace is precisely patience, the confidence that life is made of encounters, and for those who have found these words, they can use them to bring some useful answers to their day. Well, beloved, still on the process of soul purification, and as it occurs through the physical plane, in the previous lesson we brought the process of deconstruction of the mental processes, of what bound them to repeat for many times the old patterns that always lead them to the process of pain and suffering. But then, perhaps we may ask ourselves, does material experience necessarily lead to pain and suffering? Is this the necessary process that you have to go through to achieve that peace? Is suffering and evil necessary to the process of inner purification? It was these, beloved ones, the questions we set ourselves to answer. And I tell you that the process of inner purification necessarily goes through this path. For how could the soul want to get rid of a cycle, if it did not go through this process of pain and suffering, which is precisely what breaks the connection between the real self and the personality? There would not be how. As I told you, you have come here precisely to transmute these elements, cleansing your past and all the unfinished actions of your soul. They came to purify those elements that bound them to the past, and that through material experience they can free themselves to shine in light. The great moment of the process of purification, my beloved, is this inner liberation, that state reached when you find your inner love, and thus unite the dimensions of your existence. You live this inner peace and your peace shines around you, your light becomes the guide of many, if love is the only thing that moves your essence I am, because everything else has been deconstructed in the eternity of life. This is the state of enlightenment. This is being enlightened, it is being empty, devoid of your own personality. And that's what you all go for. The process of purification, children, is hard indeed, for it implies the deconstruction of its cosmic essence, the giving up of all that was identified, so that they shine in the most crystalline light, and are prepared to seek even more subtle and profound connections with all creation, so that they are deluded in much more subtle connections, through their own light. This is the purpose of the experience you experience, to delude your own personality and cosmic connection with the I Am, in a perfect docking. Reflect on these words, to identify in your own lives this process of deconstruction, coming out of the cycles of resistance, pain and suffering, and entering into the flow of acceptance and lightness with which life is to be experienced. And know, beloved ones, that every learning cycle has in its depth and attachment, a pain of the soul, which is ready to be released and transmuted into pure crystalline light. Be in peace. I'm Serapis Bey.